Hey everyone! So, we've been learning about multiplication before with two-digit numbers. Now we're going to talk about division. Long division is a way that we can divide a much larger number by either single, double, any digit really. And it shows all of our work so we make less mistakes. So let's start with our first problem. 3, how many times does 3 go into 822? Or we could think of it as 822 divided by 3. These are saying the exact same thing. I know that I can't do that with mental math. I don't expect you to either. So the first thing we're going to do is look at it as a single step at a time. Now, just like I said, we're going to take it one step at a time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at that 3. How many times does 3 go into 8? Well, if you said it doesn't go in perfectly, you're right, but it's okay. What is the most amount of times it does go into 8? 2, because 2 times 3 is 6. It's not 8. But if I go one more, 3 times 3, that's 9. It's too many. So we're going to put a 6 right here because that is what 2 times 3 is. Okay? Now we're going to subtract each row. Every time we do our multiplication here and to figure out what we're subtracting. So 8 minus 6 is 2. We know that. Basically it's saying 3 goes into 8 2 times with a remainder of 2. So the next step that I'm going to do is you're going to take the next number and bring it down. Okay? I'm taking that next number, the 2, and bringing it down. And I'm going to write that 2 right there. So now I want to do the exact same thing I did before. How many times does 3 go into 22? Well, I know that 3 times 7 is 21, and 3 times 8 is 24. But 24 is too much, so it must be the 7, because 3 times 7 is 21. Okay? And just like last time, we're going to subtract, and we get 22 minus 21 should be 1. Now, if this number is ever bigger than this one, it means you needed more when you were doing your division, okay? So again, this number should always be smaller than this. Now, we're going to bring down the next number. And you're going to keep going and bringing down your numbers until there are no more numbers left to bring down. Now, how many times does 3 go into 12? Well, we know that one, and we know that that one is a perfect one. 3 goes into 12 a perfect 4 times. So we're going to subtract 12, and we get a 0 at the end. And that's what you should be getting on this entire paper. Everything should end with a 0. So if you don't get a 0, that means you've done something wrong. So again, 822 divided by 3 is 274. That wasn't so terrible, huh? Let's try some more. Let's do problem number 2 from your classwork assignment. Number 2 says 5 goes into 635. Or I can read that as 635 divided by 5. We're going to do the same thing like we did last time. We're going to look just at that first number first. How many times does 5 go into 6? Once. And we're going to put a 1 up top. And then 5 times 1 was 5. Because we want to figure out what is my remainder. My remainder is 1. Then I follow the pattern. I bring down the next number, 3. So now I'm finding how many times does 5 go into 13? Well, 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 2 is 10, 5 times 3 is 15, which is too many. So it is 2. And 5 times 2 is 10, so what was my remainder? What are my leftovers? 3. Now, I'm going to bring down the next number. And remember, you're just going to keep following this pattern until there are no more numbers to bring down. Now, 5 goes into 35. I know that one. That one's perfect. 7 times, because 5 times 7 is 35. And we subtract. 35 minus 35 is 0. Now, if you understand what I've been doing, I want you to continue on your worksheet all on your own. Use this video to check your answers. If you don't understand, I'm still going to continue to work through more problems. Don't worry. So, 635 divided by 5 is 127. That's it. Let's do more. $426 divided by 6. 426 divided by 6. Now, just like every other time, we are looking at our first number first. How many times does 6 go into 4? It doesn't. It never goes into 4. It goes in 0 times. Now, this is important. Some people say you can leave off that 0. I like putting that 0 in because it's a good habit for later on. So 6 times 0 is 0, and we subtract, just like we've been doing every other time. 4 minus 0 is 4. Now, we're going to bring down the 2. How many times does 6 go into 42? It's a perfect one. It's 7 times, because 6 times 7 is 42. And when we subtract, we get a 0. Does that mean we're done? No, we didn't use all of our numbers. So let's go to the last number. Bring down the 6, and 6 goes into 6 one time, and we subtract, and that's 0. Now I'm done, because I have no more numbers left over here. So 426 divided by 6 is 71. Okay, let's keep going. $856 divided by 8. Now, this is a challenging one. You'll see why in a second. Now, let's start in the beginning. 8 goes into 8 how many times? Once, perfectly. So we're going to subtract 8, and that's 0. Now, I bring down the 5. 8 goes into 5 how many times? It doesn't. It goes in 0 times. Now, this is why it's tricky. It's really important that if you've already brought an arrow, you don't want 2 arrows next to each other. So we're going to put a 0 here, and we are subtracting 0. Okay, you need to do that. And then we're going to bring down the 6. Do you see how my arrows don't end ever right next to each other? You need to have that 0 placeholder. You need to take that step. So 8 goes into 56 7 times, because 5, 6, 7, 8. So 56. We subtract, and we have our remainder of 0. Now, I know that one probably confused you a little bit, so we're going to do one more problem, and then we're going to be done for the day. Let's erase. Okay. 952 divided by 7. Same as every other time. 7 goes into 9 how many times? one time, and we subtract 7 to find our remainder. And our remainder was 2. Now, I'm going to bring down the 5. 7 goes into 25 3 times, which is 21. And we subtract, and my remainder is 4. Let's keep going. 7 goes into 42. How many times? That's right, 6 times, and that's 42. We subtract with 0 remainders. And that is how you perform long division. So 952 divided by 7 is 136. That's it. Now you'll try your independent work. I'm sure you're going to do a fantastic job. Bye.